quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. My name is Victor, and me and Ginny were together for 7 years, married for 2 of them. We waited to have kids because we wanted to make sure we were good financially first, just trying to be responsible. Anyway, things were going fine for a while, or so I thought. After we hit that 2-year mark, we decided it was time to try for a baby. That felt like the natural next step for us. Looking back now, I don't know how I missed it. The little signs were there, but when you're in it, you don't see them. I just thought we were having the usual ups and downs every couple has, nothing major. I mean, I loved Jenny. I thought we were in this for the long haul. But man, was I wrong. A few months go by, we're trying for a kid, and I'm feeling pretty good about everything. I'm thinking about the future, picturing what life's going to be like as a dad. I had no clue what was coming. One night, I was at home just chilling, and I noticed Jenny was acting kind of weird. She was on her phone a lot more than usual, but I didn't think much of it at first. I figured maybe she was just chatting with her friends or something. But then she started staying out late, saying she had work stuff or that she was meeting up with friends. At this point, part of me was like, hey, maybe something's up, but the other part of me didn't want to believe it. I trusted her, You don't marry someone unless you trust them, right? So I brushed it off. But things kept getting stranger. She was distant, and I could feel this tension building between us, like we were in the same room, but miles apart at the same time. I remember this one night, she came home super late. I'd already gone to bed, but I woke up when I heard her come in. She was trying to be quiet, but I could tell something was off. Hey, I said, sitting up. Where were you? She jumped a little, like she didn't expect me to be awake. Work drinks ran late, she said, barely looking at me. At this hour? I asked. Yeah, she mumbled, fussing with her bag. I waited for her to look me in the eye, but she never did. That was the first real red flag for me. But still, I let it slide because I didn't want to start a fight. I wasn't ready to face what I was starting to suspect. Things kept spiraling after that. Jenny would go out more and more, and whenever I tried to ask her about it, she'd brush me off or get defensive. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband accusing his wife of cheating, so I kept it to myself. But deep down, I think I knew what was going on. I just didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to believe that the woman I loved, the woman I was trying to start a family with, would do something like that to me. Then one night, everything came crashing down. I was at home, and Jenny had said she'd be working late again. I was just sitting there, feeling like something was really wrong. You ever get that feeling in your gut, like you just know something bad is about to happen? That's what I had. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone. Now, before anyone jumps down my throat, I know it was a shitty thing to do. But at this point, I was desperate. I needed to know what the hell was going on. So I unlocked her phone and started going through her messages. And there it was, right in front of me. All the proof I needed. She'd been texting some guy, Damien, or something like that, for weeks. They'd been meeting up behind my back, and from the looks of it, things were way more than just friendly. My heart dropped. I couldn't believe it. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. I didn't even know what to do. I just sat there, staring at her phone, reading the messages over and over again, like maybe if I read them enough, they wouldn't be real. But they were. Jenny had been cheating on me. I waited for her to get home that night. I didn't even know what I was going to say. I was just sitting there, stewing, thinking about all the lies she'd told me. When she finally walked in the door, she looked at me and knew something was up right away. I could see it in her eyes. Victor? What's wrong? She asked, trying to sound casual, but her voice was shaky. I didn't waste any time. I held up the phone. What the hell is this, Jenny? She froze. For a split second, I thought maybe she'd try to deny it, spin some story. But she didn't. Instead, she just started crying, full-on sobbing. Victor, I'm sorry, she choked out. I didn't mean for it to happen. I just stared at her. Didn't mean for it to happen? Seriously? Jenny, how do you not mean to cheat on your husband? She kept crying, wiping her face with the back of her hand, her shoulders shaking. It wasn't supposed to be like this, I swear. I felt my anger boiling up. How do you just accidentally betray someone like that? She couldn't answer. All she kept saying was, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Victor. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I wasn't having it. I told her right then and there. I want a divorce. She lost it, like I'd just ripped the ground out from under her. No, please, she cried, reaching for me, but I stepped back. Victor, we can fix this. We can go to couples therapy. We can work through it. Please, everyone makes mistakes. But I wasn't about to sit through therapy with someone who had been sneaking around behind my back for months. I couldn't believe she had the nerve to act like this was something we could just work through. Cheating is a deal breaker for me. Always has been. Once the trust is broken, there's no going back. I think what pissed me off the most was how she tried to act like this wasn't even her fault. Like she was some kind of victim of circumstance or something, or like I should just accept that everyone makes mistakes and move on. No way. I'm not that guy. I don't forgive cheating, ever. So I stuck to my decision. I told her straight, Jenny, there's no going back from this. I'm done. She started crying again, trying to reach for me, but I wouldn't let her. Victor, please, she sobbed. Can we at least talk about it? I shook my head. No, there's nothing to talk about. The next few days were a blur. I filed for divorce, and thanks to our prenup it all went pretty quickly. Jenny kept trying to get me to change my mind, though. She'd call me, show up at the house, even tried to talk to my friends to convince them to talk me into giving her another chance. It was pathetic, honestly. Watching her scramble around like that after what she'd done, I couldn't respect it. I wasn't about to let her worm her way back into my life. In the end, I'm just glad I had the prenup in place. It saved me from a lot of the financial mess that usually comes with divorce. I kept everything, my house, my savings, because she was the one who screwed up. It didn't make the situation any less painful, but at least I didn't lose everything on top of it. And that's how it all started, the end of my marriage, and the beginning of the mess that followed. I didn't realize then just how much damage it would do to me emotionally. But trust me, that part's coming. 3 years later, and I'm still dealing with the fallout. But we'll get to that. Alright, so fast forward to after the divorce. Like I said, I cut all contact with Jenny. I wasn't interested in any kind of closure conversation or whatever. I just wanted to move on. So I changed my number, moved to a new place, and basically went full ghost mode. If I could have erased her from my memory, I would have. I wasn't even trying to hate her at that point. I just wanted to forget she ever existed. Those first few months after the divorce were rough. I mean, I wasn't out here crying myself to sleep or anything, but there was this emptiness. It's hard to explain. It's like when you've been with someone for so long, they become part of your routine, part of your life, and then suddenly they're just gone. Not that I missed Jenny specifically, but I missed the idea of what I thought we had. That was the hard part to let go of, the life. I thought we were building something together. I remember one night, I was sitting at home drinking a soda and just thinking about how everything went to hell so fast. 1 minute we're planning for kids, the next minute I'm signing divorce papers. It's crazy how quickly your whole life can flip upside down. But I guess that's life for you, huh? During that time, I started going to therapy. I wasn't super keen on it at first. I'd never been the therapy type. But after everything that happened, I figured I could use some help sorting through the mess in my head. And honestly, it ended up being one of the best decisions I made. My therapist helped me realize that a lot of the stuff I was feeling wasn't just about Jenny cheating. It was about a bunch of other things I hadn't dealt with. Like, growing up, I never really learned how to express my emotions. My family wasn't big on talking about feelings. You just sucked it up and dealt with it, you know? So when Jenny cheated on me, I didn't know how to handle the betrayal. It was like all these emotions I'd bottled up my whole life exploded at once, and I didn't know what to do with them. Therapy helped me unpack all that. Anyway, enough about that. Here's where things get interesting. 3 years pass. I'm doing better, still not 100% over everything, but better. I'm focusing on work, going out with friends more, even started dating again, though nothing serious. I'd occasionally think about Jenny, but not in a I miss her kind of way. More like a I hope she's miserable kind of way. Yeah, I know that's petty, but whatever. That's how I felt. Then one day, I'm at the grocery store, just minding my own business, when I see them, Jenny's parents. Now, I hadn't seen or heard from them since the divorce, so this was completely unexpected. My first instinct was to just walk the other way and avoid the whole situation. But of course, they saw me before I could make my escape. Jenny's mom, Sophie, came up to me all teary-eyed and emotional. The moment I saw her face, I could already tell this was going to be some kind of guilt trip. Her dad, Travis, was with her too, standing there looking all solemn, hands shoved in his pockets. I could feel the tension in the air before either of them even opened their mouths. I was right. Sophie wasted no time. She stepped right up to me, voice already shaky. Victor, she started. Jenny, she was in a car accident. A really bad one. She's in the hospital, critical condition. I just stood there, blank. What the hell was I supposed to feel? I wasn't happy she was hurt, but I wasn't about to start feeling sorry for her either. Sophie kept going, barely stopping for breath. She's been through so much these last few years. She's really struggling. Please, Victor, it would mean so much if you could visit her. Despite everything, you were such an important part of her life. I almost laughed, honestly. Visit Jenny? After everything she did to me? Was she serious? I looked right at Sophie and said, Jenny isn't my problem anymore. That was the truth. I thought it was a pretty reasonable response, given the circumstances, but of course it didn't go over well. Sophie's eyes went wide, and she started shaking her head. Victor, please, forgiveness is important. You have to let go of the past. Show some compassion, she pleaded, like I was the one who needed to do soul-searching here. Compassion? For the woman who cheated on me? Yeah, no thanks. Travis, who had been silent up until that point, finally stepped in. He gave me this heavy look, like he couldn't believe I wasn't dropping everything to run to Jenny's side. Victor, he said calmly, everyone makes mistakes. Maybe this is a chance for you both to make peace. That was it. That was the moment I lost it. I was already pissed they were trying to guilt-trip me into caring about Jenny, but Travis saying everyone makes mistakes, that was the final straw. I snapped. She could rot in that hospital bed for all I care. I told them, voice steady but cold. Yeah, harsh, but it was exactly how I felt right then. She was the one who cheated, not me. I didn't know Jenny anything, especially not forgiveness, and I certainly wasn't going to go pretend to care about her just because she had an accident. Then I threw in the fact that they had always defended her, even when they knew she was in the wrong. They made excuses for her over and over again, like somehow her cheating was my fault. By this point, Sophie was crying, tears streaming down her cheeks, and Travis just shook his head at me like I was the bad guy in all of this. They tried to say some more stuff. I couldn't even register the words, but I wasn't interested. I just turned around and walked away, leaving them standing there in the middle of the grocery store. Later that night, I got a call from my dad. Victor, he said, his voice already disappointed before I'd even answered. I heard what happened with Sophie and Travis. You could have handled that better. Turns out Jenny's parents had reached out to my family to complain about how cold I'd been to them. My dad was on their side, telling me I should have visited Jenny to be the bigger person. My sister agreed. But thank God my mom was the only one who actually backed me up. She told me straight, Victor, you don't owe that girl anything. And she was right. Still, it turned into this big family argument. My sister Elena even jumped in, saying, Vic, you could have at least shown a little compassion. Some of my friends piled on too, giving me their 2 cents, telling me what I should or shouldn't have done. A few thought I was being too harsh. Others thought I was completely justified. Honestly, I didn't care what any of them thought. I wasn't going to feel bad for not rushing to Jenny's side like some knight in shining armor. She made her bed, now she had to lie in it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Jenny is in the hospital, her parents are mad at me, and my own family is split down the middle about whether or not I should have visited her. But you know what? I'm not losing sleep over it. She's not my problem anymore. So after that whole mess with Jenny's parents, I thought things would calm down. I wasn't expecting any more drama. But clearly I was wrong, because a few days later I got a text from my sister Elena. It was one of those messages you just know is going to lead to more crap. We need to talk about what happened with Jenny, she wrote. Can I come over? Now, I wasn't really in the mood to deal with more lectures about how I should have handled things differently, but Elena's my sister, and we're pretty close, so I agreed. I figured she just wanted to give her opinion and get it off her chest. No big deal, right? Well, wrong again. Elena shows up at my place, and before I can even offer her a drink, she's already diving headfirst into the whole Jenny situation. Vic, she started, all serious, I get why you're angry, I do. But I really think you should have gone to see Jenny in the hospital. For closure, you know. Closure. Are you kidding me? I just looked at her and shook my head. Elena, I had my closure 3 years ago when we signed the damn divorce papers. What else is there to say? She sighed, trying to look all reasonable. I just think, I don't know, what if this was your last chance to say something to her? Or what if something worse happens to her? I could feel myself getting more and more frustrated. It was like everyone around me had just conveniently forgotten what Jenny did to me. She wasn't some innocent victim lying in a hospital bed. She was the one who blew up our marriage. I asked Elena flat out, if someone did to you what Jenny did to me, would you be running to their bedside? She went quiet. For a second, I thought maybe I'd finally gotten through to her. But then she shook her head and said, it's not the same though. You guys were married. You shared a life together. That was it for me. I was done. Elena, I told her, I don't want to hear about Jenny anymore. I'm not changing my mind. Jenny can deal with her problems on her own. Elena didn't look happy with that, but she eventually dropped it and switched gears. We talked about other stuff, work, family, whatever, but there was still this weird tension hanging in the air. I could tell she was still thinking about the whole Jenny thing, even though she wasn't saying it out loud anymore. After she left, I just sat there feeling this weird mix of anger and confusion. I mean, why was everyone so caught up on me visiting Jenny? I didn't know her anything. She cheated on me, and I moved on, simple as that. But it seemed like everyone else just couldn't let it go. A couple days later, I found out why. I get a call from my dad, and he is pissed, like I could practically feel the heat coming through the phone. I knew right away this wasn't going to be a casual conversation. Victor, he snapped, we need to talk. I'm on my way over. That was weird for my dad. He's not the kind of guy who just shows up unannounced, so I knew something big was up. When he got to my place, he didn't even bother to sit down. He walked in practically vibrating with anger and just started laying into me. "How could you treat Jenny's parents like that?" he shouted. "You disrespected them after everything. You could have at least shown some decency by visiting Jenny in the hospital." I just stood there, staring at him. "Dad, what are you even talking about?" I tried to break in, but he kept going, not even listening. "I raised you better than this," he said, pointing at me like I was a little kid. "I can't believe you're being so cold-hearted." At this point, I was dumbfounded. Why the hell was everyone acting like I was the bad guy here? "Dad?" I tried again. "She cheated on me. Why does everyone keep forgetting that?" But he shook his head, cutting me off. "Family is important, Victor. You should have done the right thing. Shown some respect. Visited her." And that's when it clicked. It wasn't just about Jenny. Somewhere in the middle of his rant, he let something slip, something I never expected. "After what I went through with your mother, I thought you'd understand," he blurted. I froze. "What?" I asked, my voice low. "What do you mean, after what you went through with Mom?" He looked like he regretted saying it the second it came out of his mouth, but it was too late. "Victor," he sighed, "back when we first got married, your mother, she cheated on me." I just stood there, staring at him. I couldn't even process it. Mom? The same mom who always preached loyalty and honesty? My dad, the family man, had gone through something similar to what I did, and he stayed with her. That's when I lost it. I didn't yell or scream, but the frustration was boiling inside me. "Dad," I said, steady but firm, "I'm not you. I'm not going to forgive Jenny just because you forgave Mom." He didn't like that at all. He went real quiet, staring at me with this disappointed look. "You don't understand," he finally said. "It's not that simple. But here's the thing, it was that simple for me. Jenny cheated. I wasn't going to forgive her. End of story." We went back and forth for a while, me and my dad, neither one of us budging an inch. Finally, he just shook his head, turned, and stormed out of my place. We didn't exactly leave things on good terms. Honestly, I didn't even know how to feel about it. On one hand, I understood why he felt the way he did. He'd been through his own crap, and I guess he thought if he could forgive my mom, then I should be able to forgive Jenny. But on the other hand, I wasn't him. I wasn't going to let what she did slide just because he made peace with his own situation. The rest of that week was awkward as hell. My dad didn't call, and I didn't reach out either. I figured we both needed some space. But the whole thing left me feeling weird, like my entire perspective on my parents' marriage had just been flipped upside down. I kept wondering if I should talk to my mom about it, but at the same time, I didn't want to stir up even more drama. A few days later, Elena texted me again, trying to play peacemaker. "You should talk to Dad," she wrote. "Make things right." But I wasn't ready for that. I needed time to process everything first. I mean, it's not every day you find out your mom cheated on your dad, and your dad just stayed with her for decades, never telling anyone. It messed with my head, big time. So that's where things are at now. My family's a mess. Jenny is still in the hospital as far as I know, and I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with all of this. All I know for sure is that I'm not going back to that life. Jenny can stay in the past, and I'll keep moving forward, whether my family likes it or not. So after the whole argument with my dad, things were pretty tense. We didn't talk for a few weeks, which wasn't normal for us. I'd always been close with him, so this silent treatment thing was new territory. Elena kept texting me, still trying to patch things up, but I just wasn't ready. I needed space, especially with everything I'd just learned about my parents' past. Anyway, one night I'm sitting at home, just trying to unwind, flipping through some random TV show, when my phone buzzes. It's a number I don't recognize. It's late, so my curiosity gets the better of me. I pick it up, and guess who it is? Jenny. Yeah, out of nowhere. I don't even know how she got my new number. I changed it right after the divorce to make sure she couldn't reach me, but there she was, texting me like it was no big deal. The message wasn't long. Just, "Can we talk?" Seriously? After 3 years of no contact, she just pops back in with a "can we talk" like we're a couple of old friends catching up over coffee? At first, I didn't even respond. I just sat there, staring at my phone, wondering if I should block her and move on. But, of course, curiosity got the better of me. So I texted back, "What do you want?" It didn't take her long to reply. "I want to clear the air. I've been doing a lot of thinking since the accident, and I need to apologize properly." Yeah, right. I wasn't buying it. She had 3 years to reach out and apologize, and now, right after her parents tried to guilt-trip me at the grocery store, she decides it's time? No thanks. I texted back, "There's nothing to talk about. We're done." I figured that would shut it down, but Jenny wasn't letting it go. She kept texting, trying to get through. "Victor, please. I have things I need to explain. I'm sorry for what happened. Just hear me out." Honestly, part of me was tempted. I won't lie. Some twisted part of me wanted to know what she thought she could possibly say to make up for what she did. But at the same time, I knew nothing she said would change a damn thing. So I didn't reply after that. I figured ignoring her was the best way to finally move on. But of course, that wasn't where it ended. The next day, I got another text, this time from Elena. Jenny reached out to me too, she wrote. She says she's trying to make amends with everyone. She's been going through some kind of life-changing moment since the accident. Maybe you should hear her out. Elena being Elena, she couldn't help herself. What's the harm in just listening? She added. I wasn't about to let Jenny weasel her way back into my life just because she'd had a near-death experience. I told Elena straight up, stay out of it. This is between me and Jenny, and I'm not interested in rehashing the past. Things were pretty quiet after that. A few days went by, no word from Jenny, no more texts from Elena. I figured maybe, finally, she got the message. But just when I thought it was over, my phone rang again, this time, with my mom's name popping up on my screen. I knew something was up. As soon as I saw my mom's name on my phone, I had a feeling this wasn't going to be a casual chat. I answered, and right off the bat she hits me with, Victor, we need to talk about Jenny. Just hearing her say that had me exhausted already. It was like no matter how hard I tried to leave this chapter of my life behind, everyone was determined to drag me back into it. Then she tells me Jenny had reached out to her. Yeah, she went there. I guess Jenny figured if she couldn't get through to me directly, she'd try going through my family. Classic Jenny. And of course, she managed to twist everything around so my mom was convinced she was some kind of victim. My mom started in with, Victor, she's been through so much since the accident. She's changed. She just wants to talk to you. I could feel my jaw clenching. Mom. I cut in. I don't care how much she's changed. It doesn't change what she did to me. But my mom wouldn't let it go. People can grow. Victor, she said, all soft and motherly. It wouldn't hurt you to just hear her side. I was getting more and more frustrated with every word. It was like no one in my family actually understood how deep Jenny's betrayal had cut. They acted like it was some small bump in the road I should just get over. But it wasn't small to me. It was my whole damn life that got turned upside down because of her. Finally, I just told my mom flat out, I don't want to talk about Jenny anymore. I'm not going to visit her. I'm not going to talk to her. And I'm sure as hell not going to let her back into my life. I figured that would be the end of it. But then my mom dropped something on me that stopped me cold. Victor, Jenny is dying. I swear I couldn't breathe for a second. She went on, telling me Jenny's injuries from the accident were worse than I'd realized. She was still in the hospital, and according to the doctors, she didn't have much time left. My mom's voice cracked as she said, that's why she's so desperate to talk to you. She wants to make things right before it's too late. I just sat there numb. I didn't even know how to react. It wasn't sadness exactly, but it wasn't relief either. It was this weird, tangled knot of emotions I wasn't ready to deal with. And on one hand, part of me just thought, well, that's karma, I guess. But on the other hand, it felt heavy, like this person who'd once been such a huge part of my life was about to die. And here I was refusing to even acknowledge her existence. I didn't know what to say to my mom. I just kind of sat there, letting it all sink in, my mind racing 1,000,000 miles an hour trying to figure out what I was supposed to feel about any of this. After a long pause, I finally just told her, I'll think about it. And that's where I left it. I didn't make any promises, but I didn't shut it down completely, either. I guess I just needed time to process. So now here I am, stuck in this weird place, not knowing what the hell to do. Do I go visit Jenny and give her the closure she claims she needs? Or do I stick to my guns and keep her out of my life, even if she doesn't have much time left? I don't know. Man, it's a lot to think about, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Part of me feels like maybe it would be the right thing to do, to at least give her a chance to apologize. But another part of me just can't let go of the anger and the betrayal. I guess I'll see what happens next. So here's what went down after that. I spent a few days just sitting with it, turning everything over in my mind. My mom's words kept echoing in my head, that Jenny was dying, that this might be my last chance to talk to her. It weighed on me, but not in some sentimental, oh, poor Jenny way. It was more complicated than that, hard to even explain. I was basically stuck in my own head, going back and forth. Should I do it or not? One night, I couldn't sleep. I was just tossing and turning, feeling restless, my mind running circles around itself. So I did what I usually do when I'm stressed. I went for a drive. Just driving with no destination helps me clear my thoughts. Somehow, without even realizing what I was doing, I ended up parked in front of the hospital where Jenny was staying. I didn't plan it. My brain just sort of led me there. I sat there in my car, staring at the glowing hospital entrance, trying to work through everything. Part of me was thinking, just get it over with. And another part of me was screaming, why the hell are you even here? I sat there in the car for probably an hour, maybe even longer, just stewing over everything. All the crap she'd put me through. Every lie. Every time she snuck around behind my back. All those pathetic pleas during the divorce, trying to get me to forgive her, and now she wanted me to show up at her bedside like none of that ever happened? It didn't feel right. But still, there I was, in the parking lot of that damn hospital at 2 in the morning, wondering if I was really about to walk in there and talk to her. Eventually, I just muttered, "Screw it," under my breath, pushed the car door open, and got out. Inside, I wasn't even sure they'd let me in, considering how late it was. But the nurse at the front desk looked half asleep and barely batted an eye. When I told her Jenny's name, she just pointed down the hall and said, "Room 214. Next thing I knew, I was standing outside her door, my hand on the handle, frozen. I stood there for what felt like forever, staring at that door. My heart was pounding. Part of me still wanted to turn around and leave. Walk away. Pretend I'd never even come here. But I'd come this far, might as well see it through. Finally, I pushed the door open. Jenny was lying there in bed, hooked up to so many machines it looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. She looked different, and I don't just mean because of the accident. There was something in her face, something worn down, hollow, like life had taken a bigger toll on her than I'd ever imagined. It was strange seeing her like that after all these years. She didn't notice me at first. She was staring out the window, lost in her own thoughts. And then she turned, saw me, and her eyes went wide. Total shock on her face, like she couldn't believe I was actually standing there. For a few seconds we just stared at each other. No words, just silence, so thick it felt heavy in the room. Finally she spoke, voice so quiet I could barely hear it. "I didn't think you'd come," she said, like each word cost her something. I shrugged, trying to keep it casual, even though my stomach was in knots. "Yeah, well, here I am." Another long pause. Then Jenny started to cry. But it wasn't like those dramatic crocodile tears she used to turn on whenever she wanted to get her way. This was different. Quieter. Almost real. It caught me so off guard, I didn't know how to react. Because honestly, I didn't expect her to have any real emotions left for me. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice all shaky and small, barely audible. "I know I don't deserve to ask for your forgiveness, but I needed you to know that." I just stood there, my hands in my pockets, staring at her. I didn't know what the hell to say to that. I mean, what could I say? I sure as hell wasn't about to tell her everything was fine. Because it wasn't. It would never be. But at the same time, I hadn't come there to rip her apart either. Finally, I let out this tired breath and said, "I don't know what you want me to say. You broke my trust. You broke us. That's not something you can just apologize for and expect it to go away." Jenny nodded, still crying, tears rolling down her cheeks like she couldn't control them. "I know," she whispered. "I know I hurt you. I was selfish and stupid, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But I'm sorry. For everything. For ruining what we had. For not being the person you deserved." Hearing her say all that felt weird. Part of me wanted to get mad, to tell her how she'd shattered my life, how she'd made me question everything about myself and love and marriage. But the anger just wasn't there anymore. Maybe I'd carried it for so long I'd burned it out. I was still hurt. That weight was still there, no question. But the rage, the fire that used to make my chest feel like it was going to explode, gone. So I looked at her, really looked at her, and it hit me just how much time had passed. How different we both were. And right then I realized something I hadn't been able to see before. Closure wasn't about her. It was about me. I'd been gripping that anger like a shield, thinking it was protecting me, keeping me strong, but really it had just chained me to the past. Seeing Jenny like this, small, frail, broken, somehow made me see it for what it was. "I don't hate you anymore," I said, surprising even myself at how calm I sounded. Jenny's eyes shot up to mine, still filled with tears. "But I'm never going to forget what you did," I added, making sure she knew exactly where I stood. She nodded again, tears dripping onto the bedsheet. "I wouldn't expect you to," she said, voice so quiet I almost didn't catch it. Then it just went silent. The machines beeped in the background, but between us, nothing. I didn't know what else to say, and it seemed like she was too tired, too wrung out, to keep talking. And there was this strange sense in the room, a finality. Like we both knew this was it, the last time we'd ever see each other. After a while, I stood up to leave. Jenny looked up at me, her eyes still raw and puffy. "Thank you for coming," she said. "It means more to me than you know." I didn't reply, didn't have anything left to give. I just nodded, turned, and walked out of that hospital room. When I got back to my car, I just sat there for a second, staring at the steering wheel, letting the whole thing settle. Then I took this long, deep breath, like I hadn't really breathed in years. For the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't carrying all that poison inside me anymore. It wasn't forgiveness, not even close, but it felt like freedom. And you know what? That felt pretty damn good. It's been about a year since that night at the hospital with Jenny. She passed away a few weeks after I saw her. I can't say I was devastated, but I did feel something. Maybe just the final page turning on that whole chapter of my life. After that, I finally let myself breathe again. I started dating here and there. Nothing serious at first. It felt strange getting back out there, like trying to learn a language I'd forgotten. I met a lot of women, went on a lot of awkward first dates, a few second dates, and a couple of short relationships that never really stuck. But I wasn't in a rush anymore. I'd learned the hard way that I'd rather be alone than with the wrong person. Then a few months back, I met Clara. We bumped into each other at a friend's housewarming party, just chatting over cheap beer and plastic cups, and somehow we ended up talking the whole night. There was something easy about being with her, like I didn't have to perform or pretend. She's kind, thoughtful, has a quick sense of humor, and she doesn't play games. We've been seeing each other steadily since then. I wouldn't call it perfect, because nothing is, but it feels real, and that's enough for me right now. We've talked about the future, about maybe getting married if everything stays good between us. No pressure, no deadlines, just taking it one day at a time and letting things grow naturally. I think I finally understand what it means to move on. It doesn't mean forgetting the past, but it means not letting it hold you prisoner. With Clara, I get to build something new on my own terms with all the lessons I learned the hard way. And for the first time in a long time, that feels pretty damn good. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.